let's give credit where credit is due, because it has pre-installed languages such as Python, Node.js, it has Go, right? It has some great CLI utilities like TLOS, right? It has Gemini CLI that's already running there, so if you actually want to use AI to build things, it's already in it, right? The G-Cloud CLI, of course, pre-installed and pre-authenticated, right? And easy access, as I said, via browser or SSH. So when I say that the content, the things you install go away, why it's ephemeral is because you get a new container every time you log in, right? So how many of you have a basic understanding of the Linux directory structure, more or less? Okay, more people than actually use, okay, that's perfect. So when you run on Ubuntu, something like sudo apt install, I don't know, reprep, right? It will install things here, right, in /user/bin. Right? And this is the part that goes away. However, anything you put into your home directory over here persists because it will be mounted on every new session. Okay? So the solution to making this development environment persistent is twofold. Whatever we can cram into the home directory, we do that. Right? For everything else, we need to find a different solution. And I've come up with an opinionated config that I call permashell. It's open source, available on GitHub if you want to check it out. That solves this problem, right? So it makes sure that everything you install on Cloud Shell stays there every time you log in. So, and the strategy, actually you have two set of strategies, right? Strategy, let's call this strategy A, right? Everything that can live in the home directory, right? We install it in the home directory, right? Specifically in this one, home/.local/bin, okay? And then it's always there. Every time you start it up, it's there. Unfortunately, not everything can be done this way, and we need a different strategy for that. So Cloud Shell offers you a hook that they call customize environment. Hopefully you can see it. I cannot see my laser marker, but hopefully you can see it. It is basically a script that lives in your home directory and that Cloud Shell executes automatically every time you log in. Okay? So if you put installation instructions for everything else in that file, things will get reinstalled. Okay? Yeah, and just the instructions are in that script. So just for your understanding, if you ever want to use this, if you ever want to, I don't know, fork the repository and your own binaries in there, I think let's go over how it actually works. Just a few lines of code, okay? So one here is, let's go first with the strategy A, installing things and the home directory, right? First, we commit certain configuration files to the repository, right? I have my bashrc node there, that is important. I also have vimrc, right? And I also have configuration directories like .config that contains a lot of configuration for other binaries. And .gemini, this one is actually very important because when you use the Gemini CLI and you install MCP servers and you install Gemini CLI extensions, that's where they go. They're just actually JSON files living in that directory in your home folder. Right? It's a little bit more complicated with binaries, right? I'll walk you through two examples here. Oh, sorry. wrong button. So the first one is lazy Git. That's one of my favorite utilities that gives you terminal UI to manage your Git repositories, right? And this one is quite simple because we simply take the URL of its, download it, and then we install from it, right? And we specify that we want to, where we want to install it, that you want to install it in the home directory, okay? So, and in most cases, if you have access to these turbos, you can actually directly install things in the home directory. Now, for other binaries, such as NewVim here, this doesn't work because there's a specific Cloud Shell edge case. For some reason, it doesn't want to communicate with files that are hosted on GitHub. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. So my workaround was simply to take those tarballs, take those binaries, and commit them directly to the permissional repository, right? Not as elegant a solution, but it bypasses the limitation and it works. And so it's actually installed from there. And then finally, we have strategy B, right? We add a few lines of code to customize environment that reinstalls certain binaries on startup, right? Every time on every new session. So I do this for TTY clock. This one is important because I like to see what time it is in different time zones directly in the terminal as I'm working, right? And for some others, you actually also have to commit, if they live on GitHub, you still have to commit them to the repository and have the installation file locally, but install it every time. Because it's automated, it's not really a problem. Okay, and just to give you an idea, right, why this is useful, right? This is the Cloud Shell that you see when you log in by default with nothing installed. It's just a black terminal with some text, right? My Cloud Shell looks different. My Cloud Shell looks like this, right? So I see the specs here. This is fastfish running, right? This is TTY clock that's telling me what time it is, and I can set my time zone directly there. Term down here, so I can see how, for time management purposes. I got NewVim running here, so I can edit my files, and this is lazy Git telling me what has changed and what I might need to commit, etc. So all here split in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Tmux panes, right, with different TUIs running at the same time. And being able to access this from any machine at any point, in time, and have all these tools ready, that's something that really boosts my productivity. Now, okay, we've seen how to use it, right? No, how to install it, rather, right? The next step is to see how it can be used, right? I've pre-recorded the demo. Let's see if this works. Okay. Can you switch to my computer, please? it's working. Okay, this demo was pre-recorded, but this will give you an idea of what is actually possible. And what we're gonna do is build a static website and deploy it to Google Cloud Storage, because Cloud Storage hosts those sites. So here I'm using Yazi, one of the binaries that I installed that gives me a way to browse my file system, right? So I created a directory, and I'm creating an Astro project in it, right? With a simple npm command. So, so takes a few seconds. It asks me a couple of questions, and basically that is it. It takes care of everything else. In a few seconds, it's going to say it's fine, and we'll have a project template ready. There it is. So now I can run that server and see if this works, right? So it gives this localhost link. Okay, we're not on localhost, we're in Cloud Shell. Yet, when I click that link, right, Cloud Shell opens that localhost with a different URL, and it's still available. So it can still use Vite, code reloading and everything without leaving Cloud Shell. So now I'm going to modify the file just to see that it still works, that the code reloading works. So I'm gonna fuzzy search for the content of that file in neovim, right? I'm going to search for to get started. It finds my component quickly, right? And over here I will just add a new paragraph saying "Hello world," nothing original. I should have probably said "Namaste world" for the purpose of this demo. Okay, and there it is. So automatically reloaded, code reloaded with Vite. So you have the comfort of local development in this environment. Okay? Now, I want to deploy this to cloud storage, right? But I'm not going to do it the old way, right? I'm going to use AI. So as I said, Gemini CLI is already baked in here. It's already present. There's no need to install it. It persists. Yeah, and I'm just going to give it a prompt. I'm gonna pause here for a sec, right? And it's a very basic prompt, right? It says, build this Astro project, deploy the Google Cloud Storage, make it public, use the G-Cloud CLI tool, right? You need to create and configure the GCS bucket, upload the files, provide the public link. I also tell it that it's running inside the Google Cloud Shell. Therefore, it already has access to all the Google Cloud project information. It can actually retrieve it by itself. I don't need to give it to it, so it doesn't need to ask me for it. Now, I've given all the instructions, right? But I'm not going to turn on the YOLO mode. So the YOLO mode, if you don't know what it is, it's a mode that allows Gemini CLI to run commands without asking you. So it just makes the decision and just runs the command. If you don't turn it on by default, you have to either authorize the command or you can cancel, right? So if you're not going to use the YOLO mode, because I'm not a big believer in vibe coding it, because AI makes a lot of mistakes and introduces a lot of bugs, so I want to control what's being done. So I'm going to watch what it's doing. So once this submits, so Gemini CLI gets to work. And there are a few amazing features here, right? And the first one is you will see is that it tries to reason, it tries to think, right? And artificial intelligence doesn't really think, it doesn't really reason, right? But it gets close with with what it can do. And in this case, it's going to come up with a plan. So it came up with a to-do list of 6 points. Say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run the build command. I'm going to get the cloud's project ID. I'm going to create, and everything else that I asked, right? And it's started building the project. Here it is. It's actually executing the commands, and the biggest power of letting Gemini CLI execute those commands instead of executing them yourself is that it gets the feedback into the context. So it sees if a command has succeeded or not. And if it hasn't succeeded, we will see how it's actually able to read the error message. And that is also important. We'll be able to see that a little bit later in the demo. Okay, I'm going to start fast forwarding a little bit because sometimes agents take a little while to get things done. Okay. I'll get your project ID, it says. Right. Okay, by the way, I'm going to pause here for a second as well. As you can see, as you can hopefully see here, right? It says it's a gcloud MCP server, right? This is actually one of the servers that came with the settings in PermaShell. In fact, you can see here that I'm running 3 MCP servers, right? That I did not have to reinstall. They just got imported with PermaShell. One of them is the gcloud one, very useful in this environment. The other one is Astra, the third one is GitHub. So potentially, if I were really building a live project with Astra and gcloud and and hosting it on GitHub, this would be like the perfect combination. I'm going to fast forward a little bit more. Right. I'm going to pause here for a second. I just kept this error in the demo because I find it's actually quite fascinating. That is, it runs the command, right? And the command throws an error. Right, the error stays in the context. The agent is able to perfectly see that here's an error. So, and the reaction here immediately is, well, the last command failed, right? I'm going to try something different, right? I'm going to try with a different command. I'm going to use this command. And I didn't have to tell it that. I didn't have to stop. I didn't have to do anything. I just said, okay, well, try that new command. And basically, and the new command was successful. It managed to fix that error by itself. So I think that's actually pretty amazing. Okay, let's fast forward to the end. There was another error, but it was held the same way. So, yeah, the agents can take a little bit of time to get things done, right? But they do it. So now it's at the end. It provided me the URL where it deployed, and as you can see here at the top, we got this website with Hello World in the Google storage hosted successfully. So the deployment's been done completely, 100% by Gemini CLI. Right, you can switch back to the presentation. Yes, no, okay, switch, yeah, okay. Right, okay, that's it from my side. Do you have any? Thank you. Do you have time for questions? Yeah. Right. Do you have other questions in Slido? I have Slido open here. Uh, Can I install fast fetch on Cloud Shell? Yes, I actually installed fast fetch on Cloud Shell, but it's actually one of those binaries I believe that you need to reinstall every time. So it needs to go into strategy B, the customize environment script. Yes, fast fetch is a must for every environment I work in. So yes, you can install fast fetch on Cloud Shell. Well, it's ephemeral. I don't see. Okay, so considering that there is ephemeral, maybe Google Cloud does not want you to do this. Is it possible that Google Cloud will make it such that it won't be possible? I mean, everything is possible, but you've actually hit an important issue here, right? It's not that Google Cloud doesn't want you to do it, but this environment comes with limitations, right? So the storage is limited to 5 gigabytes. So you can use it the way you want, but you're limited to 5 gigabytes, right? It's also probably not the quickest, not the most performant, not the most, not the snappiest of machines, right? So if you ever feel that you've, this is too much, too little, right? You need more, you need a better machine. You can have choose a dedicated VPS server. Like Compute Engine can be one choice. There are other solutions out there as well. But this is a good place to get started, right? Because, well, you can test things. You can have see how device independence works for you, how this approach to persistency works for you. And if you say, well, I actually need more space, or I actually need more RAM, or I need more compute power, then you probably need, you can probably take this and adapt it to a different environment, such as, as I said, Compute Engine. Yeah, there's one here. So how strong internet do you need to work efficiently on Google Cloud? Well, Google Cloud does all the heavy lifting, right? And Cloud Shell specifically does all the heavy lifting because the computations don't happen on your machine. All you need is a browser connection that can open, a web page where you can type things. That's it. There's not much involved. All the heavy lifting is done on a different machine, not yours. That's the beauty of it. Can we do the same for what, sorry? Mobile apps. Well, I don't think you can run Android Studio there, so that's probably not. But you can deploy cloud architecture, for sure. You can write code in there, so you can probably do a lot of things. But if you actually need the GUI, for something, for like the Android Studio, then you need something else. Then this will probably not be enough. For web development, it's perfect, right? For mobile apps, I'm not so sure. Okay, somebody's asking me how I style my beard. Well, yeah, please come talk to me later. Termux. Yes, I'm actually connected I've actually used SSH on Termux on my tablet and on my phone to connect to Cloud Shell. You can use Termux to connect there, yeah. So Termux, for those of you who don't know, is a terminal emulator that runs on Android. Okay, how's configuration stored in Google Cloud Shell? Well, you have a disk that persists, right? And it's mounted every time on every new session, and that is your home directory. Everything else is wiped out. So if you build, that is the summary basically, right? So if you can put something on the persistent disk that is remounted, which is your home directory, that's great. If not, you need to reinstall, and that's where the customized environment script comes in. All right, I think we're out of time. So basically the takeaway is, if try it out, if you want to be device independent. Yeah. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. Can I use Google Drive? Well, it's not built in, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to build something with it. Well, I mean, if you want to store things on Google Drive and then pull them into Cloud Shell, right? I mean, yeah, Google Drive comes with the Google Drive API, so you can build a script and run it as you need to pull those things. You would need to architect that, you would need to build it, but it's absolutely possible technically, of course, yes. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Dmitry. I think a broad session. So I would like to invite